Europe. England. London Heathrow, the world's busiest international airport. January 8th, 1989. It's a Sunday evening, and many passengers are headed home after the Christmas and New Year holidays. The airport is packed. In Terminal 1, passengers check in for British Midland Flight 092 to Belfast, Northern Ireland. It's a regular hour-long commuter shuttle. Security is tight. It's the height of the IRA's terrorist campaign against British targets. The IRA has killed 416 civilians in nearly 20 years of violence. Healthcare worker Gareth Jones started a new job in Belfast 3 weeks ago.
Can I ask you one or two security questions on that, sir?
Security checks are a way of life.
If you lived in Northern Ireland at the time, you got quite used to security. It was a period when there was heightened security there.
You look after yourself, right? You look after Mother. Thanks.
Bye.
The IRA isn't the only reason for Heathrow's high security. Lockerbie, Scotland. 3 weeks earlier, a terrorist bomb blows apart a Pan Am 747 flying from Heathrow to the US. The explosion kills all 259 people on board and 11 more on the ground. It's the worst ever terrorist attack on a US airliner. The authorities suspect
We'll do the four-stop checklist down the line then, please.
today the passengers on Flight 092 are in the hands of 43-year-old Captain Kevin Hunt. He's one of British Midland's most experienced pilots, with 25 years flying under his belt.
Air conditioning and pressurization tanks on flight.
Flying with him, 39-year-old First Officer David McClelland. Tonight, they're flying an aircraft just 2 months old. It's one of Boeing's new 737-400 series. 7:15 p.m.
Boarding cards.
118 passengers board the brand new plane and take their seats.
Brakes released, and you are clear to push. We'd like to start engines 2 and 1 on push.
Captain Hunt starts up the 2 engines. The 400 series aircraft is still new to him. He's clocked just 23 hours. First Officer McClelland has 53 hours.
All pressures rising. Seatbelts on there.
Lift, buckle and pull the strap.
In the main cabin, Gareth Jones has a window seat over the wing in an emergency exit row.
Excuse me, sir. Hi there.
A flight attendant asks Gareth to read the safety card so that he knows how to open the overwing exit door.
Normally he was pretty blasé about it, but it was pleasantly done, and it would have been ill-mannered not to.
Take off on the 27 light bulb. Have to go? Let's go.
First Officer McClelland throttles the engines up.
D1, rotate. Positive climb. And gear up. Gear up. Now down.
7:52 p.m. British Midland Flight 092 is airborne and on its way to Belfast.
Maintain 6,000 feet in this street. Okay, 6,000 feet. Check.
8:05 p.m. 13 minutes into the flight. The aircraft is climbing through 8,500 meters on its way to a cruising altitude of 10,600 meters. Then, without warning, a massive bang. The aircraft starts to vibrate violently. A routine flight turns into every air traveler's worst nightmare. Up on the flight deck, Captain Hunt and First Officer David McClelland feel the vibration.
Very strange. What's going on?
Much worse, they smell smoke.
What's going on? We've got a fire coming through. Tell ATC we need to start at this end.
Smoke can only get into the cabin by the air conditioning ducts. And since the aircon is jet-powered on the 737, they deduce it's engine trouble. An and it sounds serious.
He simply stopped, froze.
Flight attendant Debbie Griffiths immediately thinks of the Lockerbie disaster.
This instant sort of terror, if you like, and my first thought was, is there a bomb?
A huge bang and heavy vibrations rock a British Midland flight en route to Northern Ireland. Sitting in a window seat over the wing in row 14 is healthcare worker Gareth Jones. He's busy dealing with a panicking fellow passenger.
The lady that was next to me, Teresa, was distressed, so I started to talk to her to try and calm her, but also to help me because it wasn't stress-free for me either.
Gareth has good reason to be worried. His seat gives him a clear view of the plane's wing. And what he sees fills him with foreboding.
I could look out of the window and see a trail of spark-like emissions from where the engine would be.
From their seats in the cockpit, Captain Hunt and First Officer McClelland can't see either of the two engines, so they don't know about the sparks. Like all pilots, they must rely on their cockpit instrument display to diagnose the problem. The new display on the 400 Series 737 is unfamiliar to them, but it's state-of-the-art technology. Hunt and McClelland scan the screens and LED instruments. They diagnose an engine problem and shut down the faulty engine.
Throttling back. Hey. Okay, shall I go through the...
The terrible clunking and vibration immediately cease. The 737 is now behaving normally again.
You're approaching 1,000th level.
But safety rules call for the crew to land the plane as soon as possible.
Let's get a turn going for East Midlands.
Hunt is in luck. Air traffic control clears him for an emergency landing at East Midlands Airport, just 10 minutes flying time away.
Control, flight heading 090, be vectoring for the ILS.
Roger, Midland 92, descending flight level 120.
8:10 p.m.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Kevin Hunt. Maybe aware we've had a problem with the aeroplane.
The captain goes on the intercom to calm his 118 passengers and to tell them he shut down the malfunctioning engine.
We are unfortunately therefore unable to continue our flight into Belfast.
He says they'll be safely on the ground in 10 minutes. The aircraft descends through 2,000 meters. They're 8 minutes from touchdown.
So 160, flight level 40. And
1 minute later, air traffic control tells Captain Hunt to make a right turn to line up with the runway.
Midland 092, descend to altitude 3,000 feet.
Midland 92, descend up to 3,000 feet. Okay.
They're on final approach. The cabin crew take their seats for the remaining few minutes. (8:20 p.m.) Another, even louder bang rocks the aircraft. The passengers realize that the noise must come from the plane's last remaining engine.
The whole plane shook.
Now there are more vibrations, worse than ever.
Vibration was incredible. It was almost impossible for me to focus on Chris, who was sitting in the seat beside me.
Now the left engine catches fire.
Fire. Shall I do the fire drill? She's not going.
The 737 is dropping out of the sky. Captain Hunt's control column starts to shake violently. The ground proximity warning system tells him he's coming down too quickly. The pilots can see the airport runway lights less than 2 kilometers away. But there are more lights closer to the plummeting plane. The lights of the M1 motorway, the UK's major north-south artery. If they crash on the motorway, the death toll could be horrendous.
It's not going.
But Captain Hunt is all out of options. The ground is coming up fast.
Somebody on board said, Jesus, we're all going to die.
8:24 p.m. British Midland Flight 092 is just 1 minute from East Midlands Airport.
Flaps one, please. Speed 190.
Captain Hunt can see the runway lights, but he's lost both engines, and one's on fire. His only hope, to keep the aircraft airborne long enough to crash land on the runway. The passengers haven't heard from the captain for 10 minutes, but they know they're going to crash.
Stupid thoughts go through your head, like who's going to cut the grass. Part of your brain is saying, this plane's crashing, and part of it was saying, it can't be, because it doesn't happen.
Now Captain Hunt can see the village of Kegworth. Desperate to avoid crashing into it, he raises the nose to stretch the glide. The 737 passes over the village at an altitude of just 60 meters.
Where have I noticed what I think was a church spire, which actually went by the window. And I sort of thought, a church spire going past the window, I'm in a plane.
But beyond Kegworth lies the M1 motorway. If Captain Hunt can get across this 6-lane road, the safety of the runway is just 900 meters away.
Get that. Let's get the other one. Get it going. She's not going. Get it up. She's not going.
But he can't keep the plane airborne any longer. He makes a final announcement to the terrified passengers.
She's not going, Kevin.
Prepare for crash landing.
Prepare for crash landing.
And he said, brace, 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 prepare for crash landing. And the tone of his voice said it all. I can remember going into the brace position and just thinking, this is it.
Just before the plane hit the ground, I remember thinking, nobody survives a plane crash. I wonder, will I?
"30 meters before the motorway, the tail section hits the ground and bounces back into the air. The plane smashes through trees near the edge of the motorway.
It was horrendous. It just seemed to go on forever. It sort of sucked the breath out of you.
It careens across the road, destroying a light on the central reservation. The aircraft slams into the embankment on the far side of the M1 and breaks into 3.
I just remember being crushed and crushed, and then nothing. Total silence.
It comes to rest just 900 meters from the